Your mics are hot.
Yeah, she asked me, and I was like, well, I just mentioned it to you. I didn't have any more information besides she was wanting us to maybe do something. Okay, and then she sent an email out to our whole and you about it. I was like, oh, I don't have any dates. But that was like when she emailed everybody about like Emma starting and everything, so.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Got an agenda in front of you.
I make a motion to approve the day's agenda.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Any patrons?
No. We signed up.
No.
Nope.
District needs assessment.
You have your district leadership team. That is you guys.
Don't all talk at once.
So, as we've discussed the last several years, part of the budget process is you have to do a building needs assessment that leads into district needs assessment. So you have an educated idea of what you need to build the budget on. We try to do it in May so that as we work through the summer and into August and September to build the budget, you've got the information and it is in front of you. They are here to walk you through what they have discussed and put together.
The floor is yours.
So to gather this information, we sent out a survey to the staff and kind of got their feedback. We made some changes from what we presented last year using the information from them. And so demographics wise, Mr. Reinhardt kind of took care of this area, so I'm not sure how it's changed from last year, but this first one is more demographic enrollment and stuff.
Say our special education bilingual and at-risk enrollment is down slightly. The at-risk enrollment's down. It fluctuates, and a lot of it has to do with oil production. When oil production is good, families making more money, they don't qualify for services anymore, so they meet that definition of at-risk. It's all income-based. Our chronic absentee rate has dropped drastically and continues in that direction. I know we've kind of talked before, Tom and I, with a couple of kids that we've had with some severe illnesses, that we may kind of level out about that 12 to 15%, but that is much better than the 30-some% it was a few years ago. So they did a good job.
It has his tonsils out and has to be out for X amount of days. He's really considered chronically absent.
Yep.
So Spencer was chronically absent right before Christmas.
We had several kids that were that way this year, that just were sickness, and they were gone for several days in a row.
Anticipated it'll, I know when we look at the slide there, ours was around 20% last school year. It's going to be higher than that this school year, just because of we could. I don't know more.
And then in our current needs, we need curriculum, science, and social studies have been something that we've been talking about. And then it'll be time to start looking at new reading curriculum as well. And then technology, as you guys know, we need more electrical updates to help with the technology, plugging that all in and all of our technology needs. And then we're also needing to start looking at new teacher computers. A lot of ours aren't holding charge anymore. And they're just like shutting down on us. And then certified personnel needs. Of course, we would all like to have a full-time principal. And we're excited about the shared principal position next year, but we would like a full elementary principal at some point. And then we need an at-risk title teacher. And then as far as para support, right now we only have 2 special ed positions that we're still needing to fill for next year. So that's good. We lost one with just a few weeks left in the school year. She went to a different job where she could have insurance, because SKC does not offer insurance. So we need to fill her position. And then we have a student coming next year that'll have some as well.
Professional development wise, we have been getting training in upping our rigor and relevance, which helps with student engagement. We feel like it has been very beneficial, and we would like to continue focusing on those areas in our professional development. One thing that we have put in place as part of our plan for next year is teachers doing walkthroughs in other classrooms, just to kind of see what's happening in other classrooms, give a little bit of feedback, kind of help each other out a little bit. And so we'll need a little bit of training on that tool and kind of what to look for. It's not new to us, but we haven't been the one on the other side often enough to be super comfortable with it. And then the elementary school is, we have some questions about just how the science standards are written. So we have a plan to meet with Colin and Mr. Satomi to answer some of those questions. And then as we start looking at curriculums, building that.
For our spaces, we use all the space in the elementary school. May not have a full-time classroom in there, but we do a lot of pull-out groups with small groups of children to get more individualized instruction for them. And we are constantly looking for new spaces. We're still using the alcoves and hallways and stuff. We need storm shelters, secure entrances. These are all things I know you guys know about. Window, HVAC, electrical, plumbing updates. And then especially with having students with special needs, we need to be ADA compliant. I would say one of our largest barriers to being successful is our low parent engagement. That's been an ongoing need for us. Student mental health as well. I think it's improved since COVID and those few years after COVID where we've been really concerned about students, but it's always a need. The building updates, which we already talked about, but then we've kind of noticed some apathy in our students of struggling with really being challenged intellectually, and then just admin stuff and keeping the staff that we have. We provide really good training. Good stuff.
Some of the proposed fixes to the problems that we have are continuing that high quality professional development and in-service days that we talked about. Looking, and we are thankful for kind of this shared position this year to allow us to continue the search for administration positions, but an elementary principal specifically would be ideal. And then hiring that quality classified staff. Again, looking at curriculums, a lot of this is nothing new. The ELA curriculum is a fairly new curriculum, but we're on a 5-year contract and we have 2 years left. And it seems like every time we go to look at something new, we rush and then we just have to make a choice because we need something. So we kind of want to start that process now, give us time to really look and have conversations about those. So starting to review now, knowing it wouldn't be adopted for a couple of years. Continuing our standards alignment, which is what we've been working on over this last year. getting all of the grade level standards gone through and then start working horizontally across grade levels. And then just kind of rearranging some space to create those environments for small group pull-off that we need. Again, the e-walkthrough, so really just some of those in-service days spent on meeting the things that we presented earlier. And then just continuing to make staff well-being priority. I feel like that has shifted in a good way. And so continuing down that road. Nope. This is high school.
This is high This looks a lot like, I mean, it's very similar to the elementary school, and like we talked about a little bit ago. Our chronic absenteeism, sorry, my contacts are messed up. Our chronic absenteeism it has dropped from a few years ago, it was really, really high, like embarrassingly high. It has dropped, but this year with some extended illnesses, it will probably go up. And I think overall, just the kids that aren't coming to school because they don't want to, that has gone down. I feel like, we're seeing more kids, they may not be excited to come to school, but they're in school. And
They said if they're in high school, they can stay home alone.
that's true, yeah. And
Makes a lot of difference.
so, I mean, I feel like, with that,
Mom and dad might not fight it as hard.
sure. Now, do we still have some kids that are gonna be, but.
I this one. Okay, so these are some of our curricular needs. We need updated science and social studies curriculums. They are old.
I'd say that they're probably about as old when I actually used the chemistry. That was in 2012, the same chemistry textbook, but it's fine. I've gotten along just fine. So,
So like 2000. A lot of things have happened in history since it.
So definitely updating curriculum, especially in the science and social studies. Technology needs, we need to update our teacher resources. I would also say to probably some of our computers are also becoming, at the end of their lifetime. And then at the high school, we have the projectors like this. And it's, a lot of them are starting to cause issues. I know Collins.
I mean, I think in the science rooms, about every year, we're going through a bulb in them. And then on top of that, just according to if you had a full classroom, I know in my class, you could be in the 4th or 5th row and you're not going to see what's on the projector. There's just not a chance. It's too small, not high enough quality. Honestly, probably replacing with smart TVs is probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I have to turn off the lights in my classroom in order for the kids to get the full effect. If I have a map up there or graphs or charts or anything, I have to turn off at least the top front 2 rows. Ideally, if I could turn off all 3 rows of lights, they can see better. But I don't want to turn off all 3 rows of lights because you can't write when all the lights are turned off.
Right.
So,
and then of course, we would like to get some more of the certified personnel that we've lost through the years, business teacher, fax teacher, getting back our MTSS coordinator would be great. And of course, we've been without a librarian for a number of years as well. Classified personnel, be nice to have 2 more special ed paras and then some regular ed paras.
One thing that I will add to that I feel as a school we are majorly missing the boat on is computer science. Being able to run a computer. Like, I get it, kids have had technology for a while, but to run it in a professional sense, be able to properly organize a Google Drive, use Google Drive, use Google Docs to full of their potential, Google Sheets, all these things that are expected you to know in the professional realm, our kids are getting on. And I think that falls under the idea of computer science. I think we need to make computer science an actual emphasis.
If they would, it would be
I know, but it's just,
well, people who know that
Are-
make more money not
Yeah.
teaching, so. Our professional development needs, we want to continue our vertical curriculum alignment and continue training on the rigor relevance and student engagement, especially for any kind of new teachers coming in. We want to make sure that they understand what we've been working on the last several years. Okay, space needs. The art room is, and most of you have probably seen the art room. There's just not a lot of room in there for the kids to construct things. We had a lot of 3D projects this year being constructed in the art room, and it was just overwhelming. And in a good way, but it would just be nicer to have a larger area for art to do more 3D, do some more pottery. Repairs, you obviously know all of this, but auditorium, the HVAC, the roof, doors and windows, classroom temperature, especially in the winter, and of course, the mice. I don't think a lot of people understand how bad the mice issue is, or can be in in some of the classrooms. And then of course our locker rooms are sad. So.
It's me.
Sure.
Hiring, and retaining quality licensed staff, teacher shortages, parent involvement, hiring and retaining quality staff, curriculum needs, social studies and science, student staff, mental health issues. The things, I guess, they're hiring quality staff. It's just pretty hard to hire any teacher. We've had our business position open, we've had our fax position open for how many years? I don't know what it takes to make that happen, but we don't, we've had some applicants for.
I had one for this year but
Didn't pan out.
not quality applicant.
Curriculum needs, science and social studies, those are the two that they just talked about. Student and staff mental health issues.
I'm not gonna read the word here, but it mirrors a lot of the elementary school. What we need to be doing is keeping our staff, continue to hire new staff, get some newer curriculum in the school. And I'd say keep doing our professional development under quality instruction and doing more walkthroughs, and that being more teachers and doing those walkthroughs instead of getting that experience. That's part of our KESA goals, and we should be able to accomplish that this next year. And in terms of making sure staff aren't getting as worn down over the course of the year, which teaching just is that way, but keep positive atmosphere in the school. I'd say from a board perspective, try your best to be as supportive as possible, because this year's been actually a little bit more grueling and negative on teachers, I would say. So just remember what you say does end up reaching the teachers at some point.
And you guys may notice a lot of what we did these separately, and a lot of what we have is very similar. So, I mean, that's a good thing. We're all kind of have the same goals across the kindergarten, or sorry, elementary and high school. One thing that I think maybe just me, I'm pretty excited about the curriculum alignment and aligning the curriculum across the grade levels, so that they're starting in grade school, and not that came out wrong. Like, they're not doing anything in the grade school. They're working really hard, but like we all are on the same page, I guess. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, all the gaps,
Yeah. The
any
gaps, yeah.
gaps that are noticed are getting picked up, and students aren't gonna be reaching high school with, holy cow, why don't we know about the scientific method yet? That kind of stuff.
That is, I think.
And then same thing for in the high school as well. It's not just
Sure.
elementary, it's also high school, so.
Any questions for him?
On the mice issue, do we have any of those, do we have anybody that puts any of those like black boxes around the outside of the high school? Has anybody ever seen that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't,
I had in my new house, I had mice all of a sudden pretty bad, and World Pest Control came out and put just a black plastic box with bait in it around the house. And I get 1 or 2 a year, and I was getting a lot. So that seems like that should be something we ought to be able to handle pretty quick.
We did that with our rental too, World Pest Control, and then they come out and service it.
Yes.
I mean,
Is
you
there a
can-
And it
particular
keeps them-
space that it's worse in or what? I haven't heard that there's a problem.
I'd say with high school, it has to do with the tunnels underneath.
And we do have traps, or I should say,
Bait station.
stuff in the tunnels.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, because
Having
that's where
something on
they
the
got
outside.
into mine, is that they go from just tunnels underneath the rooms and they get up into the cabinets. So, and that's where like. some
Session
holes-
area.
Yeah,
I didn't think that would, they came out and wanted to charge me a pretty good chunk of money, I thought, and did that. And I laughed, and it worked.
Well, I know you can buy them. I know we buy all of ours for the shop out at Circle C, and they buy the boxes. You bait them yourselves. It almost could be more of a maintenance issue than paying.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take, it's real easy to do. They have locks where kids can't get in them and stuff, pets, animals. So I mean, they're really simple. I mean, I don't think, cost wise, we really want to hire someone to do it.
Yeah.
It don't be more of a maintenance issue, I guess.
I'd say that could be.
Cause I know when World Pest came out and did our rental, cause yeah, we had no idea what to do. Suddenly, we were nice, but, yeah, they said to make sure and put your bait on the outside, because you don't want them to come. Which makes sense.
Yeah, because I was putting tons of traps in the house, and I was catching a lot of mice. But they kept coming in, and that fixed it. So maybe we need to do something outside the school. Question on the apathy. Students, you said students don't feel challenged. They don't feel like they're up to the challenge of succeeding, or they don't feel like they're getting challenged enough.
I feel like.
They shut down.
They shut down.
They shut down at
And I
the
think
slightest challenge.
What I'm seeing too is that so many of them, and I know this is just a blah, 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 all the time, everybody hears it. So many of them are so used to quick, instant gratification on YouTube. They all watch YouTube shorts, see 5 minutes, I don't know how long they are. And so they expect everything to be, I should be able to instantly and
Don't like
if
it
it's
next, don't
not-
like it next, don't like it
Yeah,
next.
that's
So
what-
that's what they're doing in class too.
That's hard to.
And rigor is about asking the next level question all the time. So once you've passed that surface level and you've moved on to something that's a bit more rigorous,
Yeah.
it's easier to just, I don't know, you know,
I
if
also,
it's a simple answer, I wouldn't say they shut down so much, but as
Right. Oh,
you
yeah.
increase rigor, it does become harder.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just something our kids are gonna have to get used to too.
and they're afraid of being wrong, which we've always, I think, as a district, preached. Need to fail to learn. Failing is okay. We don't yell at them for failing. But that's something that I have thought. It's like, they don't want to answer unless they know it's 100% correct. And they get mad at me when I say.
So if we need to replace some curriculum, I assume you are the teachers that you know what areas we need to focus. If that's something you want to focus on, will you recommend to us curriculums that will address some of your focuses better than others? I mean, because I don't go through that stuff. I would.
That's one of the reasons that the elementary school is really wanting to get more knowledge about our science standards. So that way we can, when we do our research to choose our curriculum, we can adequately evaluate it and make a good recommendation on what we really need for the Kansas science standards.
So like the ELA curriculum, it hasn't been very long since we've done that we purchased this office. Have you guys not liked it?
I think certain grades enjoy it more than others. Personally, for third grade, which is all I've used, my students are very engaged in the stories. I think we're starting to develop good comprehension skills, but it's really, really, really lacking in grammar and writing.
I think comprehension wise, it is okay. And it naturally asks those higher level questions. It gets the rigor in there. But it's anything that's not reading comprehension, it just doesn't.
And also, we've learned a lot about the science of reading the past couple of years. So we're learning better how our brain learns and how to teach them. And we want a curriculum that's going to utilize those strategies more. And that's just something we didn't know what we didn't know, but now we do. So when we go to choose a new one, we want to do better.
So like high school and grade school, science, social studies curriculum, are we just behind, or is it the actual, I mean, for the,
It's the age of the textbook.
it's the text itself, so we.
Yeah, like, as I said,
Curriculum's
like,
right,
the
but
stuff,
it's-
like
yeah.
I mean, science hasn't changed a whole lot.
Right.
It's just having updated textbooks with updated examples,
Okay,
those types of things. I don't know from the elementary
so it's the
perspective.
material, not the curriculum.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, I would say that.
Yeah,
Tell you, the last biology, that's chemistry, we did a digital textbook here.
that was in like
Three, Mr. Clay was the ones that were there. We did a 3-year
Yeah, so it's
biology
5 or 6 years
textbook
now.
that has ran its course. And I say when maybe Mr. Clay came, he didn't like it, so we never renewed it. And then, like with Mr. Shatomi this year, we dug out some old biology textbooks that I actually found on Amazon that would kind of matched what we had, just something, a resource to have. The 7th grade life science books that he uses, I used them in Satana 24 years ago. I'll tell you that when I taught. I used those same mini ecology and stuff like that, those green ones. I remember buying a set of those. But that's what we have on the shelf. He is actually not used an AMP. He's just been using resources. And his AMP, and I know he's used his own resources for
yeah,
physics.
like I've been using my own resources for 5 years
Yeah.
now. And it's just the textbooks are there in case I need them, but science is pretty well supported on, and you can find stuff on the internet. It's just a lot more legwork that the teacher has to do.
And yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have
Oh, yeah.
file to go to, and I don't use that's an old term. Most of
I
it
mean,
be
I would
digital.
like to take all my lessons, choreograph it to hey, the textbook I expect you to read, there to hear on your own before my lesson. I'm gonna get a lesson on this. Here's so that they have that base knowledge that it isn't just when I go to that next step for extra rigor. It's like, holy cow, no, I do have this base idea in my new book.
I can tell you the Kansas history books have never been updated in
No,
18
I got
years.
some new ones this year.
What?
I did get some new ones this year.
This year, oh,
Yeah.
okay, my
We
bad,
were
my
excited
bad.
about it.
The Kansas history, okay.
So do
Maybe
we have
it's
Good
it?
stuff in
The,
Do we have a
the
time
geography
frame
ones
for
have
science?
not.
The geography ones,
I'd
yeah.
like to do science, I would recommend you guys do science next year. And the reason we're talking science is because they really don't have anything science-based at the elementary
So
school.
you're talking K-12 science?
Yes. And then the biggest problem you're gonna run into is in that next year, you really probably need to do science and social studies and ELA. I don't know funding wise whether or not you can pull that off. So it may be that you look at K-5, ELA, and then social studies, K-12 together, and then come back and do the upper level ELA. Because I think you talk to your high school ELA teachers, they kind of like the
We did
syllabus.
K-12 science.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a new text, will that work with you guys line curriculum then? Like, we'll have to make sure that matches, you guys recommend that, how does that work?
And that's part of this process too. The fact that they're going through the state standards and understanding what's in the state standards can then let them go back and look at the curriculum resource and say, you know, for every single company that produces a resource, oh, it's aligned to the state standards. Well, if you don't know what the state standards is, you can't go in and look at it and actually say, yeah, it really is. So the process they're going through right now with alignment and understanding what the state standards is will give them more power to go back and look at those resources to find the one that truly works.
Also, like our Kansas reading standards were updated this past summer. So our curriculum doesn't reflect that, obviously. I think originally, like 3 years ago, when we sort of started this process, the goal was to update science this year, so students next year, ELA the following year. But maybe it's just me, but I think we got overwhelmed, especially at the K-6 level, with really needing our knowledge base of science filled before we could make those adequate recommendations. I will say also, you asked about social studies. I think at the K-6 level, a lot of reading curriculums put a lot of social studies in. So it can be easier to find what's missing out of your reading curriculum that you already have and supplement that way.
Want to hear about carpentry? The truth of the matter is they really do have their stuff together because the American General Contractors Association has helped develop the curriculum for what's called the NCCER. And NCCER, I went and got trained on it several years ago. It's kind of right in the middle of building the tiny houses, and I never did credential kids, and that's my fault. Should have, but I think that Logan coming in. Yeah, he has his NCCER credential as well, and hopefully he and I can work together on making that happen. But the AGC has came through with that curriculum, and I think they work with the state to make that aligned.
You guys have anything else? Have any questions for that?
Yeah, we need to talk state assessment review real quick, and that'll kind of flow into kind of what we were just talking about, especially with the curriculum review. None of this information is new. We won't get this year's state assessments until probably October or November of next year. So you are building a budget based off of state assessment scores that are over a year old. All of this was shared with you guys back in October, so I'm not going to go into big depth and spend a lot of time on it, but a big piece of why they're really concerned with the ELA is if you look at the ELA graph right there, right here in the middle, the green. So our scores in 2023, so 2 years ago, we only had one grade level that didn't exceed the state median. You look at last year's, the 2024 scores, and we started falling off. Our local data starts to show the same thing, is we were making pretty big gains in ELA, and then we changed curriculums, the state standards changed a little bit, and we start struggling. So they started seeing gaps in their resources, and that was causing some problems. So that's why they're really interested in that. You compare that to math, and you have the exact opposite. So not that they don't complain about the math curriculum sometimes, but you can see here you've got the exact opposite. Our instruction's the same in both ELA and math. The way we present material, our rigor, our relevance, our student engagement piece, how we teach the stuff is the same. The difference is the quality of the curriculum resource, right? So where our ELA scores start trailing off a little bit, our math scores are doing the exact opposite. We go from, in 2023, we had 3 grade levels that exceeded the state median. 2024, last year's score, we only had one class that didn't. So when the pieces are in place, you start seeing growth. And I think a lot of the work, especially at the elementary school level that they've done with the science of reading, understanding the standards, that curriculum alignment piece will give them the tools they need to go out and get a good, strong ELA curriculum. What drives me crazy is all of these publishers have been creating these materials for years. None of them are new. But for some reason, no one can put together that resource that is a true, strong, continuous kindergarten through 12th grade resource in ELA. You have companies that put out really good primary, so kindergarten through second, third grade, but then really lack in the middle. And then middle school, they're okay. And then high school, maybe it's okay, maybe it's good. Nobody that we have been able to find puts together that really strong continuum of strong curriculum resource from kindergarten through senior year in high school. So it may be a conversation that they need to have is at K3, we're going to use this. At 4-6, we're going to use this. 7-12, we're going to use this. They're going to have to look at that. But what's nice is they now have the knowledge. They've got the background. They spent some time looking at it. They should be able to dive into that and find resources to bring to you that truly will help them move forward. But our local assessment on the maths, I'm starting to look at those too. That's what we're going to do Thursday afternoon is update our charts and graphs and everything. The couple of teachers that have that piece done already on our data sheet, it shows that our math is just exploding and our ELA is starting to shrink again for some reason. So, and again, educated guess, it goes back to the resource. Because the instructional practice is all the same. Biggest difference is that resource piece.
Okey-dokey, moving along to consensus items. Yes.
Okay.
I would move to approve consensus items.
Second.
No motion in a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Special ed.
Yeah, I know Reinhardt sent that text about the proposal of the increase going up that 55. Hasn't been voted on. I think the meeting tomorrow, we're gonna talk more in depth about that and kind of see where we go. But other than that, I don't have any update.
Do you have anything else on that, Derek?
I have some personnel things I want to talk about with that.
Okay. All right, government relations.
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Fox.
Not a whole lot. Day by day, just trying to get to the end of the week, right? I'm going to with some stuff that kind of caught, I guess, I don't know, maybe I didn't look far enough ahead here when I got to the month of May here. I had 2:30 on the calendar for Wednesday's 8th grade promotion. I'm actually gonna bump that up to 2:15, and I've already sent out an email to the parents, and I'll follow back up with another email again tomorrow. And the reason behind that is our league track meet is Thursday, but St. John does not have a pole vault. Yeah, so the pole vault event will happen on Wednesday at Ellenwood, who has one. I did not realize that we had junior high pole vaulters. Otherwise, I knew it was gonna be on Wednesday. I did not realize that. Otherwise, I would have had that probably starting at 2 o'clock rather than 2:30 on the calendar. So I'm gonna bump that up to 15 minutes because it takes about 30 to 45 minutes. But that way the junior high kiddos, a couple of them that are pole vaulters can get on the Suburban and be at Ellenwood to pole vault by 5 o'clock when that starts there. Also, went all year long, did not notice this, that this is the fallback year for the Acacia calendar. When I say the fallback year, this is the year that everything falls back what appears to be 6 days from its corresponding date from last year. So if you looked at a an Acacia event on this calendar here. It looks like it's 6 days behind when it was last year, right? Which puts state track after Memorial Day. It puts state golf after Memorial Day. I had it on the calendar on Memorial Day. State golf is honestly on Tuesday and Wednesday, not Monday and Tuesday fall on that weekend, because just did not, I didn't catch that one, obviously, when we had that on there. So I just made that change to a calendar today, and sent the email out to the appropriate people for that. So anyway, just a couple calendar things here as we finished up here. It's just it is, I say an odd year. It's not an odd year, but it does seem like an odd year because there's going to be a lot of school events after school has ended, more than a typical school year. But anyway, bring it back Wednesday before we do the junior high awards and the 8th grade promotion. Mr. Kerr, Mrs. Muse are the ringleaders of this. We used to do this a lot, and I don't know why we quit, but we're on kind of have an all-school picnic. They're on, Mr. Kerr's got a group of kiddos he's gonna do some cooking out. We're gonna group our high school kiddos with the little grade school kiddos, kind of pair them up, and they're gonna eat lunch together on Wednesday, kind of bigs and littles together, outside the west of the elementary there, kind of underneath that little picnic area. Gonna have that, and we're doing that on Wednesday, even though our last day of school is on Thursday, because we have so many kids that's gonna be out of our building because of the elite track meet, which is on Thursday. We have elite junior high in the morning, and then the high school, and so we'll have so many kids there, so we're gonna kind of have our end of the year, and then I believe that's gonna give the elementary time to have their kind of field day on Thursday before we let the kiddos out there at noon. Kind of celebrate a good school year, even though everybody gets so tired and cranky these last 2 weeks, and maybe I'm the only one that's tired and cranky. I don't know. But anyway, that's a little bit about. There's probably more I should tell you, but that's where I'm at. How about that? Unless you got questions.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Fox? Mr. Reinhardt?
I know we have problems with computers. Do you want to upgrade computers to have something that works, or would you rather go back to paper packets and get them mailed out?
Oh, got it at work for account.
I honestly don't mind using my own, because if you can log into school email, Google Drive,
Yeah, that's what I do.
I can access it on my own computer, and I don't like doing that, if that's okay.
I don't.
I would rather have paper. So I can keep it in a file and I can go back and look at things. It's much
So,
easier for me, but I know I'm one of few.
My question to you on that would be, if it was sitting here the night of the meeting, is that soon enough to have that? To save in postage? Or if you wanted it, you could come by the office the Friday before the meeting and pick it up beforehand. I'm just, cost wise, the biggest reason we got away from it was pretty expensive to mail out big thick packets.
Maybe come by on Friday and get it.
Okay.
That would work.
Can we still use the drive?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd rather use the drive.
that's how I stay organized, Tom stays organized, Susie
Yeah,
stays
but I understand, like,
organized.
said, you come in Friday, no postage. It's
We
available
we
there.
can make it available and you can come get it like the Friday before the meeting if you want something on paper. And
So do you want computers turned back into you? You can do whatever you want with them.
you can keep using them. They're pretty much just paperweights at this point in time, aren't they?
Yeah, mine already did.
Well, mine works, but Judy, you can have it back when I know your password.
Yeah, I mean, if
They
you guys
have no value, so
Right.
You have no problem us using personal ones.
no, if you want to bring them in and we can show, and we can get you logged onto the internet. If you would bring the meeting, you're welcome to do that.
Okay, so I guess I would say if you want paper, let Susie know and she'll have it ready on Friday. If you don't let Susie know, then either make your school board computer work or find a different one to use. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is our coffee machines, all 5 of them, are either well past or nearing the end of life. We own them all. We do not lease them. but we do carry a maintenance contract on them. That maintenance contract covers repairs to machines, pays for the toner that we put in the machines, the amount of copies we run. We've got this year's we have figured this year's contract will be just shy of $32,000 is what we pay. That's increased roughly $12,000 over the last 5 or 6 years, just with the cost of things and the amount of copies we make. Susie has been talking to our main office vendors, Century and then Tri-Central. They will sell us new copy machines. Well, there's one new one and all the rest of them were refurbished or something along those lines. You're gonna end up spending a little bit over $20,000 replacing machines, and then you're going to have that service contract on top of that. Century will lease us those 5 brand new machines and cover the toner and the maintenance contract and all that for $30,288 a year, and they will run that for 5 years. That price won't increase. Right? Tri-Central will do it for $39,066. They'll do that for 38 months, but they also want $500 a month per machine. So you're looking at another $2,500, so a little bit over $40,000 to do that. So Susie and I's question to you is, technically, if you want to, you can approve the Century's quote tonight and lease machines. But probably next month, we need a little bit of consensus from you as far as, are you okay with leasing machines? And right now, we'll save you, $1,500 a year, if nothing else. And you've got good functioning machines. Our 5 machines, while they work at some level, nobody wants them. You could probably put them on Next Tech or Purple Wave and maybe get a couple bucks out of them. Somebody local that has a business may want a decent machine, as long as they know good and well as soon as it breaks, there's no parts for it. Do you want to buy machines and own them yourself and go from there? When we bought the last bit, if I remember right, we decided to purchase because the purchasing route would have been cheaper. Well, now that's switched. The leasing route right now is cheaper.
On the leasing, like if something happens to it, do they replace that?
Yeah, that's part of the lease. They bring in the toner, make any repairs over the course of that 60-month lease for Century.
The only thing we pay for is the paper.
The hospital just switched from Tri-Central to.
I switched to the library several years ago. The only thing I'll tell you about Tri-Central is lock in a multi-year thing with them, or else they'll raise it significantly from one year to the next, because I learned that.
We switched to Century with the lease to lease because it saved money and it's been good. So.
Century's been good to work with. In fact, I preferred them over Tri-Central.
Well, and that's where we're at too, is.
I was getting very frustrated with Tri-Central.
Not to take anything away, do we need 5 in the district?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Can you survive with less? Yes, everybody sitting in that corner is not going to be very happy.
No, I'm just asking.
How much of that could be accomplished with a really good printer and a scanner? A lot of stuff comes off a computer.
So essentially, these copy machines are that.
All
We use them as the printer and a scanner.
Yeah.
That's how they're set up.
And a
So it's a
regular
really- it's
printer is
really
not
nice.
much cheaper than a heavy duty
Yeah,
printer.
no, and they don't last as long either. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, all 5 of these are set up. I could print all 5 of them sitting right here in this room right now. I can go to all of them now and I can put a piece of paper in them. It'll scan it and email it to me, and I can email it out to somebody, or I can make copies on it. So it is basically exactly what you're talking about. It's that high-end printer scanner that also does copies.
Do you have, like each printer should be able to tell you, but do you have any idea how much each printer has printed? Like what's the average? Well, maybe not the average, just the numbers, I guess. one in the
It's like well over a million.
over $1 million in a year,
Okay.
in 1 year. Yeah. And I think 2 or 3 of them make over $1 million a year.
Okay.
Is
And
that where you
just
guys
one.
normally print to? Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's because it's easier to go to the library.
Yeah, than the
than
office.
this.
If you go to the next. There, these are good.
So
That's the
the,
annual.
the high school copy machine has done 672,000 copies this year. The district has done 878,000. The elementary library has done just over $1 million.
Oh, that's
Or-
right. I'm sorry.
That's the line.
That's the reading.
Okay, that in their
Sorry.
life, in the
In their
copy machine's
lifetime.
life, sorry, not in a year.
Okay.
So the elementary library has done
I
over
was
$1 million.
gonna start like
Yeah.
dividing by the
Here's the
number of
number.
teachers and go, really?
Yeah.
I felt
So-
like that was really.
Yeah.
Those kids have a lot of paper. in
Sorry.
there.
So in its lifetime,
Okay.
since we have owned them, the high school copy machine, which I think is still new enough, it's okay. Like they'll still repair it, is at 672,000. The district office is at 878,000. The elementary library is just over $1 million. The elementary office, which we have owned, I believe, my entire time here, so it's over 11 years. Yeah, it's 12 years old. Has almost 1.2 million. And the preschool copy machine has 1.3 million copies on it in its lifetime.
Yeah, it's probably time.
But
It's not a kid or something. This is-
so year to date, the district office has done 130,000 copies. The elementary office has done 26,000. High school office has done 143,000. The elementary library has done 256,000 copies. The preschool has done just over 11,000 copies. But they
When you
have
start
lived-
talking about leasing them though and keeping them new rather than owning them, it would be more convenient if we could eliminate something.
It would
I mean,
save,
if-
it would save you some money. Yeah,
Yes.
if you.
Because
got
you
rid
did
of
say
of
one
those
was
copy
11 years
machines.
old and we're talking a 5-year, we're just talking 5-year contracts.
Mhm.
So
I
what
think
does a machine cost? Do you have a number on that?
At least 10,000, I think is
Mhm.
or the larger machines is about 10,000.
$10,000 to $12,000.
Since you're on,
If you don't buy a refurbished one, if you buy a true new one, $10,000 to $12,000. I think some of the refurbished ones they had priced out were 6 to 8. But you're still, even if you buy them,
Then
you're
you still have to buy your own
spending-
toner.
Well, yeah, you're still probably spending
something,
$20,000 to
right.
$30,000 on the maintenance agreement to
Oh.
make sure they stay together, they run, and your toner gets replaced.
And then when it comes out of service, you can't fix the part. You know, that.
Yeah.
So we need to make a motion if we want to do that, or
If you want to do it tonight, I would recommend you go with Century because we've had the exact same experiences with Price Central here lately, plus they're a lot more money. Or we can wait till next month if you want to think about it. If there's something specifically you want us to bring back on information, we can bring that back next month.
That's a huge money decision to make the first time we've talked about it.
But
I
it's
would
also
like to, I would like for the district to visit about that. I mean, if we can eliminate one machine, that's a lot of money.
But it's also going to save you 1,500. It's that $30,000 a year is $1,500 less than what you're spending now. So it's money you're spending. I understand what you're saying.
I mean, if
I
we
just want to
turn
make
5
sure
and
you
4,
understand, you are
yeah.
already spending that money. It's how you want to spend that money is what we're really talking about.
But that is also just 5 years. And you just
Yeah.
did say one of them was 11 years old. So that's a lot more reoccurring than what we were doing. At that, for leasing them, if there was a way we could consolidate at least 5 to 4 and get people to work, that's big money. When you want to talk about using them for 5 years and then they roll out.
And well, we have 5 pieces of equipment. Could we take the newest one and make that our 5th? And, you know, that's what I'm
Could be
saying.
possible.
I don't know what, and then maybe they only give you that rate because you're doing so many too. As you get with less machines, maybe they upcharge you more too. You know,
If you go with Century, they will not do a maintenance agreement on our own machines.
okay.
We would have to stay with Tri-Central on our own machines. So use whichever machine it is, you still.
Is there one of them that's quite a bit newer than the others, or has a lot
The
less copies
newest
on
one
it?
is the one here in the district office.
That one or high school?
The high
High
school is the
school one.
newest one, is 21. So we would have to still have that service agreement with Tri-Central for one machine. And then all the others would be on Century. Century will not do a maintenance agreement on any of our older machines.
I don't know if you would take that newest machine one in the high school, but at preschool where it doesn't get full out use, if it lasts several more years, that's a lot more machine than what the preschool needs though. It's quite a bit bigger size wise too. But like you said, if it would save you $5,000 or $6,000 at least, it may be worth looking at.
That's what I mean. It's preschool doesn't use very much, or, you know, if there's an office that doesn't, you know, push more the other way, you know, or billing. But I don't know if they're gonna give you a break doing 4 versus 5. I don't know.
So we can find that out. We can get a hold of Century and
Almost
That's
say,
150,000
don't even do
over
the
5
service
years,
agreement
no
on
recurring.
the- If
I
we
mean,
say keep them
that's a
on
lot of
Tri-Central, don't
money.
worry about it, and just use it until it
guys.
dies.
And I mean, we could also, at that point, say it does die, ask Century to bring us a 5th one, you know, at that point. We could approve that at that point. Whether it's a 6 months or 8 years.
So I guess bring that back
Yep.
next month.
We will do that.
Is that all you
That's
had
all I've
there?
got.
Okay, but board subcommittee. Facilities improvement bond issue. So we all know what the results were. We need to figure out how we move forward from here. I'm sure, I don't know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it in the last week. I'm sure you guys have too. Maybe heard a lot of input from the public, maybe you haven't, I don't know. So our options are November election,
So
keep that committee together, or regroup. To me, as a board member, my priority is a superintendent beyond the interim one. So what do you guys think? Where are you at on it? I don't know if Derek wants to add anything.
yeah, as far as moving forward, law changes July 1. So now you can run bond issue at the primary, the general, and then you can hold a special election in March. You can only hold one special election per calendar year. As far as time frame, you could possibly put something together for the November general. You'd be pushing things a little bit. Probably the July meeting, you need a pretty solid plan, and no later than the August meeting, approve a plan and bond language to send to the state board to approve. Since March is after January 1, that's a new calendar year, so technically you could run a special election in March. Time-wise there, your biggest problem is depending on board elections and those type of things, how much work you can do between now and you would want to probably approve bond in but no later than the December board meeting. You couldn't wait until after new board members take their seat to approve a project and get it on a ballot for March. that kind of gives you an idea of timeline of what you're looking at. So if you're pausing, I would say the only thing I would tell you is if you're pausing, you're probably truly looking at the next August before you could probably get anything done. If you're going to wait until after January 1 or getting somebody in place superintendent wise or what have you. So
I have a question. We have some things that do need repaired bad. So if we had to replace a boiler in the next 2 or 3 months or something like that, can we do that, borrow the money, and then include that to be covered in the following bond election?
So yes and no. So your authority to borrow money is technically a lease purchase. It's not a traditional loan like you would on your home. It may be something similar to what you might do with a piece of farm equipment or something like that. It would be a lease purchase. So you have to be able to prove that you've got the ability to pay that. So one of your downfalls to that is your
So I take it
funding.
the high school, that was a 10-year lease?
Well, yeah, so it's actually a 15-year lease purchase is what it
Okay.
was, is how that works.
And how far are we from having that paid off?
I believe 32 it gets paid off.
32. So we still have.
So you're just over halfway through.
Right.
So that is going to be your biggest issue with that is if you're looking at doing a lease purchase, you've got to, I mean, it's just like any loan application, you've got to be able to prove you've got the funds to make that payment. So what I would caution you there on is depending on how long that lease purchase is. And I would say a lot of those projects, they don't like going much more than about 3 years. That's going to limit you $200 to $300, $1,000 project. And you're going to make things really, really tight in your capital outlay.
So I guess the answer to my question then is it's not possible to pay after the project has been, a piece of the project would be completed with a bond?
You can. It's how big that project is and how long it is out. But then you can't say, we're going to do this and then we're going to pass a bond. And they're going to say, okay, that's fine. That's how you're going to pay for it because you can't guarantee that bond's going to pass, right?
Yeah.
So you could do a project like that, do a lease purchase, and then wrap that into a bond. But if that bond fails, you still have to make that payment, right? So it's.
But if the bond
legally,
passes, you can
yes,
take that money
yes,
and
yes.
pay off that
If you
lease
write that
purchase and
into
then-
your project,
Verbiage,
yeah. So
yeah.
basically, it would be a bond for debt consolidation and additional work.
Is the lease agreement versus a bond, is the interest a lot different or similar, or is the bond way cheaper?
Typically, I would say your bond's a lot cheaper because it's guaranteed.
Right.
Because that money has to be pulled out.
The interest was a big thing with the people against the
Yeah.
bond, so that's why.
Yeah, bond is typically a smaller interest rate.
Who holds the lease agreement, do you know, on the high school remodel?
So it's Farmers Bank and Trust.
Okay, where a bond is sold to a majority of banks. A lot of banks buy pieces
Financial
of bonds.
institutions of some sort,
Yeah.
yes. And specifically, that setup, they're no longer available. That's a qualified zone academy bonds. It was a project the IRS had in place several years ago now. And essentially, whoever buys the bonds, whoever you finance through, gets tax credit versus interest payment. So for the school district, it's a 0 interest loan or lease purchase, right? And then the financial institution gets tax credit similar to whatever that going interest rate at the time was. Which I guess that would be a prime example. if you would do a bond issue right now, you wouldn't want to roll that in because you're not paying interest on that money right now. It would free up capital money, but to me, financially, it doesn't make sense because you're not paying interest on those dollars.
With the federal administration, is there any notice or words or anything about, funding or cuts or anything from the government?
So
Or major changes that we have?
a lot of the federal dollar changes are centering right now around title. And of course, that's where federal dollars come from, is in the title programs.
Well, I think there's overwhelming support. Let's just say for this last bond, there was overwhelming support for parts of the bond. So I am not afraid. I don't want to be too urgent in pushing another one until it's very thought over. Because I think that if the answer is yes, that we could reciprocate and pay after something's been done. That's my scare, that would be so tight we couldn't fix something. So you're telling me that we could fix something because there is support. There's an overwhelming large amount of support to fix the problems that the school has.
Well, Shelby, Judy, do you guys, maybe I'm stepping too far, but I think there was 7 different proposals in the advocacy. 11. I'm not scared to say that. I think that the committee can see now kind of what people are thinking. We've all heard. I don't think it would take them long to come back with, let's say, A option or a B option. I mean, there's a lot of options there to look at now that everyone's kind of felt the public's, eye of how things are going to go. Too. I mean, am I wrong by saying that?
I think the other main concern I got with the bond was the superintendent, the lack of.
But Doug says he enjoys
And he
bonds.
did-
said
and
he's
yeah.
very
To the
adamant
public
about.
eye, they don't know.
He even
But,
said
yeah.
he'd love to do it. So I mean, that doesn't scare me in the
But
slightest.
potentially, he's really not gonna be around for it.
Yeah, I agree. But
Because if we get somebody hired in the fall, I mean, you're looking at March, he could be almost done before. I mean, if you're doing that March election, he'd be almost done before you really even get moving with it. So
Right.
it still falls on the, whatever
Yeah,
leadership
whoever.
you get in place for that position. And I'm not saying like wait a long time. I'm just saying, to me, even though there is urgency with some of the bond issue stuff, there is more urgency with getting quality leadership in place.
Can I ask you a question? What happens if, like, a year from now, we still don't have a superintendent? Thought about that? Quality superintendent?
I think we have to do the work to make sure that we have them. I mean, I
Don't,
think
then
these 7 people right
If we
here. have
renew
to
the
do
one we
work.
have, it costs us a pretty good chunk of money. I'll put it that way. Because then you have to pay a capers penalty.
yeah.
But I
So-
think Dylan's right. I think that the public is, they're expecting us to re-go for the bond, whether it's November, March.
I agree. I don't want to throw like something just into the wind to get another vote to just keep doing it over and over and over. I don't want to do that, but I'd hate to see us lose. Because we all agree there's something needs done. And so I hate to see us lose momentum, especially with this, all the extra time that the committee's put in to just start over from scratch. You're not gonna get people to want to actually go and be on my committee again. I mean, they put in a lot of their own time and a lot of work. I mean, I'd hate to see it all just get pushed to the wind.
Is it possible to have two bond propositions put on the same vote? So you have a 3-way vote. You have a no or a yes for option A or a yes for option B.
So you can run as many questions as you want.
Okay. It's pretty confusing.
The problem is it gets confusing and then you start splitting votes. So I'm going to vote yes on this one and no on this because I want this one to pass. So I'm going to vote on this one and not this one. And then the next person, well, I like this one to vote yes. So you split votes and that's where you get kind of complicated.
And then what do you do?
So
Which I doubt that it would happen, but what if they both yes
Well,
was
and
the
that's-
majority on both of them, then what do you do?
And then you run into a whole bunch of other problems. So which one do you run?
We just passed two bonds.
So the vast majority of those type of questions are very specific. So
Okay.
we have this part of the project. We have this part of the project. So you break out pieces of the project that don't necessarily need to be done together. But the problem with that, I mean, it's the economy of scale. The more you build, the cheaper per square foot it is to build, right? So if you break that out, your quotes and your budget are going to be larger because it's going to be more expensive to do a smaller project per square. I mean, it's less money, but it's more money per square foot for that smaller. So you got to take those type of things into consideration too. But you can run as many questions as you want. You got to be real careful so you don't run into the problem like Lori said. If you pass them both, and now you've got the two bond issues trying to do the same thing. So if you break it out, you break it out, you know, for example, you run the gym all by itself. You do, you know, the weight room and locker rooms by themselves. You do HVAC upgrades and infrastructure stuff. You could do things like that. It's just like anything, you try to put a package together so that you get everything fast, because again, you start breaking it out, you're gonna start splitting votes. So
When can we do that sales tax to be part of the voting at the same time?
any
But-
general elect, so you can do it August or November is the only time sales tax can be ran.
Everybody that talked to me was all for fixing anything needed fixed, but they didn't want to build anything.
And I
Many,
would say that's generally what I got.
yes,
Input I got as well.
but I agree with Lori, getting a superintendent is very important too.
How soon did you say the committee would have to give you a new plan by to do it in
If
November?
you want to run November, you need to approve it. I would say no later than the August board meeting. Approve the plan.
So we could always let them, and if we don't
You
think
do
that's.
remember you have leadership exiting the end of June and starting the 1st of July. I don't see that as being realistic.
Could we,
Because the board is going to change in January probably.
Yeah, your
Our election.
election will happen November. Those who are elected take their seat January, at the January meeting.
No, is it, oh, the board election's in July, isn't it?
No, board elections in November.
For January.
you have to apply by?
Yeah, if
Unless,
they apply
unless
by
there's a
June,
certain
yeah,
number
by
on the
June
ballot,
first,
and it
yeah.
happens in August, right?
Oh, I thought it was early. I thought it was early.
No.
Doesn't
So-
matter how many are.
So
You
we
have to
don't
apply by June.
have, we don't have primary because all of the board seats are at large
Okay.
for this district. Some districts have districts and they'll have primaries for those districts.
Okay.
But since we're all at large, it doesn't matter how many you put on there. They will all be in the general election.
So we could look at trying to get the sales tax to pass in November and then try to do a new vote in March with,
Oh, yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like, we could essentially do that, keep the committee in place, get things rolling, see if the sales tax passes, and then that gives us November. We would vote right away. The following, probably, well, when's the election? Our meeting would be right after, wouldn't it? Or no, it'd be the day before.
So November, it would be the week before the.
Yeah.
The,
You're saying trying to get the city for a sales tax.
See if we
ballot
get
in
that on, and
November.
then we would know whether it would, because that was a big question in the committee about whether we are or would not be able to get that. So that would be a yes or no, we would know, and then you could say, well, that's gonna make us more lean towards this or that for a March vote, which that would give us time.
if you did the sales tax properly. And you would probably want to talk to bond counsel and a lawyer to confirm this. But I think if you would run the sales tax question the right way, that sales tax money could be used for any property improvements. So whether you pass a bond or not, that could be additional revenue for some of the projects that you could possibly start and pay for with that new revenue. But I say that, don't take that for gospel. I would double check with the bond attorney and or financial advisor and a lawyer to make sure that is 100% accurate. But that is one thing that you could look at.
What is Ween's Construction? What is their idea of next?
So what Sid and I, the conversation Sid and Sarah and I had, and Clark, was they are all willing whenever you guys are ready to continue working with you. They understand that, it's, there's a lot of things up in the air. There's a lot of things that you need answers for. Whenever you are ready, they are willing to step in and help you with the process.
So we wouldn't have to necessarily vote tonight.
No.
Okay.
And I agree, November's probably quick, but March or the sales tax thing, kind of like. Always something to think about.
The problem with doing a special election is how much do we have to pay for that?
2,800 for this last one at least.
Is it, you got that directly from Lori?
I did.
But I just don't see November being really,
That would be tough.
I
Because
don't see us
summertime, you're not
having
gonna
a-
get people engaged.
not
in
if
it.
you're going to,
Yeah.
it's going to be a well thought out plan. I don't see November really happening realistically.
I forgot about it. Summertime is a
That's
lot,
what Steve-
busy,
Yeah.
an
No, and I agree.
extraordinary busy summer.
Yeah.
But I
Just getting back.
just hate to see all that work, if we just drop it and then start again.
Oh, no, I don't think we need to drop it. I just think it needs to be well thought out before we put it on the ballot again. And I don't see that in between now and November as having
No.
time to do that. And especially not, you guys need to remember that probably September, October, we have got to be doing everything we can to find a superintendent.
Right. So is it a vote? I mean, are we voting on it?
No, I mean,
No.
basically, right now, you're at a point where you are pausing the process. You are shelving, you're gonna continue talking about it until you come up with a plan.
I would like to rotate different board members into the building committee too. Did the building committee have a plan for 10 million?
No. No.
There wasn't one that
Even the infrastructure updates. for that.
The cheapest one was 13 or 14 now.
I think 14 was the closest we could get, and I think that left out the auditorium.
I think it did some ADA to the current.
Yeah.
But it didn't like.
And I think it's fine if you want to be on the committee, because we all had that opportunity and we were the only ones that,
I think,
Shelby and I were the only ones that said, well, okay.
I think we do need better communication from the committee to the board of what's the conversations.
Yeah,
that
I
we
wish after
had in
every
those
meeting,
Yeah.
we could report, and Sid kind of said, wait, until we had official plans, and we didn't have official plans really until whatever,
Now
January.
we have a better, we even have extra sets of plans we can talk about and make adjustments to. So I mean, I think it would help a lot, especially just getting us on the same page with the committee, or at least closer.
And I think as the board member, we had different ideas, we voted on what we thought, but the committee was the overall vote that presented to us, so.
So Derek, do you think it's realistic to say, like, you're done June 30th, right? Doug comes on July 1st. I mean, I don't know that we want to throw it at him the first board meeting that he has to set in front of us. I think that'd be a little bit ridiculous. So like maybe August, September, pick up
Well,
this
I
conversation
think you're
again.
well within your rights to just, okay, Doug. And he's well aware, and
Right.
Dylan's right. I mean, he enjoys
Yeah,
that process. I would just ask him at the joint, when would you be ready if we decide
start these
to
conversations.
start having this conversation in the process? And I know one of the complaints that I heard was it's just been too fast, but they don't realize we started these conversations back in 2023. They're serious conversations, so it may not hurt to start that conversation July, August, and just slowly work through it and really have some deep conversations about what you guys want to do.
So do we need to communicate, or do we need to communicate that with the committee that we're gonna wait till Doug gets started, and as soon as he's ready to start these conversations, we'll pick it back up again?
Yeah, I can send that out.
Okay.
And I'll let Sid and Sarah and all of them know too, and that process.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts to add to it?
I just have one more, and that's, if we do, I don't know how that works with the sales tax. Is that even a board issue? Is that more of a
So basically, as a board, you need to go to the city and request that they do that. The city has to approve it. Or the county, you go to the county commissioners and do it too.
Can we get more information on how that process
Yeah.
works and everything for next month?
What is our city sales tax?
2.
2. I mean, it's 2 over the state, right?
Kansas is 6.5 and Tennessee's 2.
So the
6.5
city has 1% more that they have statutory
Okay.
authority to go after. The county doesn't use any. They are at the state minimum, at least last I checked, so they would have 3% that the county can use. The problem with your county sales tax is it's countywide. So Western Plains, if they say, well, yeah, we'll do a city countywide sales tax for the Nessa City schools, people in Western Plains, I'm not going to send my sales tax to Nessa City. So the way that would have to work is all those entities would need to come together. All of your townships, and all that, and basically go as a team to the county commissioners and say, countywide, we do this, and those funds go to these entities. But where that tax is raised, it goes to that entity. So any business done in the Western Plains School District go to the Western Plains School District. Any business done in the USD 303 School District will go to the USD 303. And then, of course, it's all of Ness City is technically in our school district if they would do that. But your taxing authorities that can do sales tax are your cities and your counties. I don't think your townships can. It has to be, I think, Ransom could, Zine could. I'm not for sure. Is Beeler unorganized? Are they? So I think it would just be in Ness County, it would be Ness City, Ransom, Bazine, and then countywide to do sales tax.
Well, Dylan, you're a owner business that charges sales tax for most of the things you do, I assume. What does, at some point, I wonder about the business owners that reside in Ness City as we get a higher sales tax than a lot of other places, like the grocery store. Is that in the back of your mind?
It makes a difference, but the only thing that's been brought up a million times is I say it, I don't want to say it, but sales tax, everybody.
It's
When
fair.
people coming through, it's fair, where property tax is based on, how.
But at some point in time that people might not buy at the grocery
No,
store.
exactly,
and make
yeah.
that trip to Great Bend to buy
Oh,
at
I
their
think
grocery
that's
store.
exactly true.
Yes.
I think
And
that's
some
exactly
people
true.
might go to the
Yeah.
welding shop over in Lake Cross or wherever.
Ness
because
City's at 8.5 because 6.5 state 2 there. La Crosse is at 9.5. They have 3-cent sales tax on their bond issue. Because they didn't say anything about their November election. They did 1 cent sales tax. They already had 2 cents.
Okay.
Generate. So anytime you go to Rush County Pharmacy and you buy something.
It's higher than over. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So because the sales tax for this 1% we're talking about only applies to Ness City.
So if the city, if you do a city sales tax, it just applies to within the city boundaries of Ness City.
And so only the people in Ness City would vote for it?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it would not be district wide, it would not be county wide.
So I wouldn't even vote on that?
Be able to
No.
vote on it.
Okay,
If you don't live within the city limits, you wouldn't be able to vote on it.
okay.
Now, if you did countywide, then everybody in the county would get to vote.
For example,
So-
Jetmore in their town, they're at 9%, 6.5 for the state. Their city sales tax is at 1.5. I think they got 0.5 or half a cent on their bond issue that they passed however many years ago in their county as a 1%.
Okay.
And actually the 1% may have rolled over. Cheney told me this because that was the compromise when they took Hodgman or when they took Hanson, because Hanson got in scot-free on their bond issue. That was a comparison with our bond issue that I was going to try to make, but I didn't. I just kept my mouth shut Because when Jetmore passed their bond issue, it was Jetmore residents, it was Jetmore, wherever USD that was, 227. Because Hampton had their agreement with Pawnee Heights. Their agreement with Pawnee Heights went to a divorce, and then they came over and Hampton came in scot-free. So there's a
So
same thing that would have happened here.
if we're not gonna
Everybody
build
would have
anything
argued with Ransom.
and just repair things, do we actually need a construction company or can we just go with the bond person?
I would strongly recommend you stay with some sort of construction manager, because they're going to be able to get you better quotes. They're going to be able to get you people that'll actually come in and give you quotes, because that's one of the problems we face. No, we can't get anybody out here, or it takes months upon months to get anybody to even give us a quote for anything. So, and all these companies know that. So, you know, that's why they want $16,000 to replace the windows in the elementary library. Whereas that management company can come in, they get better quotes, they make sure the job gets done, it gets done right, those type of things. Right, that would be my recommendation as far as that's concerned, is you have a management company of some sort so that you get better pricing on your quotes and you actually get the work done.
I went over and toured La Crosse the day of our town hall. Met with, of course, it's Wayne's Construction and the site manager. I met with the site manager there. Met with Bill Keeley, their superintendent there. And Jason, when you asked this question about the feasibility study that night, I wanted to answer, but I kept my mouth shut because I just did. But theirs was a $22 million bond. Okay, their feasibility study, because they had three failed bonds, excuse me, prior to that. Their finance cannot be not Raymond James, because they no longer work with them, because they're not making any money on three failed bond issues. So they had a different finance company. And that's where their $22 million bond and their feasibility study says you need to go down to 11.9 and just do new construction. Do not do any of the needs that we have in your junior senior high school. So they cut the 9 million out of the junior senior high, and all they built was the grade school. They had 1 million in capital outlay, actually had 1.3 million in capital outlay. And so they went in and additionally built 4 more classrooms to connect to their VOAG or their wood shop area. You know better than I do, Colin. I don't want to make sure I'm saying that right. But they built 4, a new science room, a new math room, because there's a math room in there. So they basically have a 12.8 million all new construction with security entrances. The only thing that happened at their junior senior high is they got one secure entrance that's going to be at their main entrance right now. Now, don't know this for sure, but I want to say in 5 to 6 years they'll have another $8 to $10 million bond project that has to go to their voters to fix their high school, because they're not touching anything.
So how did this?
So that was their
feasibility studies work?
feasibility study. That's their said, if you're gonna pass a bond, you need a new grade school. That's all you can do is build.
They
a
must
new
have
grade
hired a
school.
company then that sent out surveys
Well,
to find out what people maybe would
I don't think
spend.
Raymond James would work with them anymore because they had two failed bonds.
Okay.
They don't make money until you pass a bond.
Okay.
Essentially, you've got to pay that finance manager to
To
come
do
in and
And
do
they
one,
do,
and
they handle
basically,
it, and then just
yeah,
money they
and
answer back.
basically they'll come back and say, we will work with you, but you can't go over this dollar.
I said it wasn't anything
Which-
tonight, I'm sorry.
I mean, Tom's story is relevant because at what point in time do we try to find what everybody has wishes of things they probably would like to see, but when do we see what the town will pass?
Well, I say their feasibility study said their 100-year-old grade school ready to go. They had to build that. And they said, your HVAC, your roof, your whatever other needs they have listed for their 7 through 12. You know, their weight rooms in and upstairs, you know what the weight rooms after the gym. They wanted to build a locker room. Their locker rooms the same way. They're crap like ours. but that's with their feasibility, you know. And so I wanted to really come out in that town hall, but I kept my mouth shut that night because if you really look, everybody wanted to compare lacrosse to this, you really can't. With the exception of our new construction and their new construction is basically the same. They built about 3,200 feet, 3,200 square feet. Our new construction for that plan that we presented to the voters and got shot down was about 29. So if you really look at the new construction, there really wasn't much difference in price of the new construction. That's really, I think, the only thing you could compare.
And I think it was more, I think what got voted down was more the use of the new construction in our district versus the use of it.
Our
in the
voters shot it
district.
down 100%. No,
Yeah.
they made it loud and clear.
Is there any traction of following the lead and building a grade school north of the high school in that city? Then you don't repair old facilities.
Well, I don't, you know, the construction manager that Sid Weens is one of his, you know, lead construction guys. They had lots of different people bid for different parts of jobs. They had different, I can't even tell you how many different companies were on site that day because of that, what Derek was saying, we need to have a construction manager. We try to do a project on our own, we can't even get a bid sometimes, you know, when he's tried that, you know, and then we're stuck with high dollar. I think we need to stay with construction manager like Sid Weens, because he's gonna have multiple people that will bid on a project. I'll say, answer that. Now, what did you ask me? My mind wants to be different places, I'm sorry.
Is it even worth thinking about not repairing that building and then?
I knew I had an
build-
answer.
Cause you know, everybody knows the cost of building a new kitchen and remodeling a new kitchen.
You're going to have a lot of construction people tell you should.
There's only so much money to go around, it seems like.
You're gonna have a lot of construction people say you should never renovate something over 70 years old. So get rid of it. It's probably a great school. And that's gonna be, that'll piss you off. I'll piss a whole lot of people off, I know. You should not renovate something that old because you still got an 85-year-old building.
Yeah.
You're probably better, I mean, your newest structure is your elementary. You're probably better off building a new high school off the back of the elementary school versus something across the street. It's the problem. But then you're talking a new gym again and those types of things.
Yeah. I'm just looking where we have real estate. I'm thinking about.
You're worried about the boiler that's gonna go down. I think it's gonna be the grade school before the high school. Even though I know I got.
Will the grade schools
a
do it?
$38,000 project.
We just put
to fix what's going on. I'm worried about the grade school one going down before that one, because that thing is trying to steam heat on this side, liquid on this side. I think, but maybe not.
Well, that's for another meeting.
We're
not gonna make a decision, we're gonna open up
Should have kept my opinions on myself. I wouldn't say a word tonight. I lied to you, Derek. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I think the more knowledge we have though, Tom, the better informed decisions we can make. So
That's
I appreciate your input, but I don't think we're gonna solve the bond issue tonight. So I guess what I would ask for is more information on that sales tax thing next month. And then get out to the committee that we're going to hit pause till Doug is in place, and then we'll pick this conversation up at that point.
Okay.
Is that what the board
Yes.
consensus is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on to cell phone policy.
So we had this conversation, we talked about putting together a group, and then Tom has been doing his science experiment. So what my thought was, and this is what I told Tom, I said, Tom, I want you to come tonight, I want you to talk about what you did with 7th and 8th grade, talk about how that might work for 7, 12. Again, I'm going to go back, we don't have a cell phone issue per se at the elementary school. If a couple of teachers that see a cell phone every once in a while would just confiscate that phone, it's not a problem. We have a couple problems with some watches. But it's really the issue we run into is once they cross the street, they have more access. Now, I'm not saying that that doesn't become a problem in years to come, because it seems like every year, younger and younger are getting cell phones. We've got kindergartners that are coming to school with cell phones. But the teachers at elementary school do a pretty good job. It goes in your locker and we don't see it or you're in trouble type of thing.
And I think that's easy for the board to implement that policy right there.
Yep.
We need to at the elementary
Yep.
school.
And that's pretty much what we've done. And they do a good job with that. Where we run into problems is that fifth or sixth grader that'll get in their locker, take the phone and go to the bathroom. And I think that's a couple of issues that we've run into and a couple conversations with staff. If you see that, take that phone, bring it to me. It's that easy. There is no, and I don't think we've had a problem since those conversations, but
Would it be easier for them, like elementary wise, to have like up by the teacher's desk, that little pouch thing, and then that way they can't take it and go to the bathroom? Because I don't know, would that be easier for you guys, or is it easier just to have it in the lockers?
My students may have actual cell phones. I mean, I hear them talk about them, but I don't ever see them. What I have more in my classes, the watches.
And those
And that
watches
goes
are being
clear
geared
down
to
to
the younger.
Don't you have
age
to have a
more all
cell
the time.
phone though next to the watch for it to work?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I don't
Uh,
run off the cell phone towers, and they're designed for kids that
Yeah,
age.
I don't see them.
so, well, a lot of what we're seeing on our younger kids on the watches, it will allow, it's basically a small cell phone. It'll allow you to call or text mom and dad and 911. It won't let you do anything else.
Okay.
Okay, so
So-
Tom, I would like to hear how things have been going at the junior high.
I really think for the junior high, it's went really well. Now, we just focused cell phones. We didn't, I told you that, when I did that, I wasn't gonna worry about a watch or anything like that. Had a little bit of conversation with some of you guys. We know there's been a little bit of watching going on. I've had it. I mean, I don't know if you guys know better than I do, but a little bit of that. The biggest, I mean, I know it'll be a fight with some juniors and seniors, sophomore, juniors, seniors, the ones that haven't had to have it locked up yet. But we've been telling them, I think, for the last 9 weeks, it's coming. I think they know it's coming. It's not hard to lock up just two grade levels worth. I mean, I'm out there in the morning, I greet them anyway. They, like a herd of sheep. I didn't even have to tell them the very first day. I just started, oh, there's Tom, Tom. They
Do
saw
they
their
put their
name
own
on the
one in?
slot and they did it.
Do they
I
put their
roll it
own
in my
their
office
slots?
and it stays in there.
Okay.
I've been lenient. They come to see, hey, between class, I mean, I've had a kid come in there, hey, I need to text my mom. Front shoes. Come in, text your mom, or they do it in supervision. Put it right back in the cabinet, they go back out to class and, or, get lunch to come in. It's worked really well.
Have you warned the high school that it's coming with
I
them?
mean,
probably?
but like I said, I just did cell phones. We didn't tack anything. A lot more high school kids have a lot more watches than junior high kids do probably, but. I don't
So if you feel like that's been going well, can you put together a policy for us to vote on next month and then tell the kids before they leave school on Thursday that next year this is what's gonna be in place? Is that the direction you guys think you wanna go? I mean, I feel like if you think it's been working well, let's try it and see.
I'm fine with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at your teachers.
Yeah.
Like just rip the Band-Aid off and try it.
Yeah,
and see
that's
how
why,
it
and I
goes.
don't, I think
I don't-
Hodgman County just did it. They've been running it
Western
since
Plains does it,
January, so there's
McGrath
policy
does
out there.
it,
It'd be
does
really
it.
easy to come and. Yeah, so,
Well, Russell said Kyle was doing it because he's subbing there.
Yeah.
And
I
they use,
stole
they
it
use
from
the
Hodgman.
pouches. Yeah.
The gal at Hodgman, I want to call her Kari, but I guess she goes by Carrie. I should, been calling her a long name, but she put it in, I guess, at Christmas and, I know there'll be. I don't know, I'm not, biggest thing I just gotta figure out where to put them, because that cabinet I bought for $80. I actually found, I forgot I had that old iPad cart from years ago, and we had those iPad minis that I've been using. And that works well. I need to find a few of those probably, because those work pretty well. Those maybe Brent could come up with something.
Okay, so is that what
Yes.
consensus is?
Yes.
Okay, so we would ask for a policy next month, warn the kids before Thursday that this is coming for next school year, and find whatever cabinet you want for it to build and give them plans. so they can get that out. Just kidding.
I think we'll make it work. We'll make it
Or
work.
bring us back quotes for what?
And
Those gray parts fields that are about that big.
the,
I don't know about
the
walking
two-factor
like that.
authentication for college classes will be the hurdle that we'll have to figure out to
And
cross.
we'll figure that out as it
And,
comes.
and
I think it can be a living policy.
Tanya and I
that we
kind
can
of
be
talked about
working
it
on
today.
till
We
get
might
it
just put one of those cabinets in whatever room we designate as the
as the
college class room for that. And you know what? Those kids will lock them up in there and the teacher can,
Which probably mostly juniors and seniors doing the college classes.
Yes. Are they
So-
not able to use like their personal email as a authentication
No,
anymore?
they have a specific app that they have to use on their phone.
yeah, they have like an authentication app.
Because Barton is a purely Microsoft school, and so Microsoft has a specific app that they have.
Okay, so
Alright,
does
well-
anybody else have any other questions or input on that? Okay, that's what we would ask to see next month then. 7.3 auditorium air handler.
So again, this goes back to the conversation I shared about getting quotes. We're 5 months past our incident. We did get another quote. I wanted to share that with you. So Glassman will come in for 37,375 and fix the air handler for the auditorium. My question to you is, since the bond didn't pass, do you want to get that fixed? Do you want to let it sit? That cuts P1's quote in half, roughly. So
And right now, there is no heat
there's no heat or
or
air
air in
conditioning
the auditorium.
in the auditorium or the gym outside of the hallway outside the
Outside of it.
auditorium.
Is it something we need to put into next year's budget versus just now?
It would be a capital outlay expense.
So it's straight, so it wouldn't matter.
Maybe ask anybody local, because I was told, I didn't talk to the man, but Trent went to and said that he could fix it.
I can talk to him.
He
and
said he
see.
could, he said he could try. I mean,
Okay,
for what
okay.
that might cost him.
I mean, we can
Get
get a
a,
hold of him and
get
and
a
ask him.
quote from him.
Now,
So
the
did you
quote
talk to
here, it
Trent?
says it's
Yeah,
for
He said
Ellis
he
High School.
could.
Yeah, I
If
was just
that's all
about
we
to
need,
mention
he's just
that,
gotta
like-
measure it. He's never looked at it. He said that's all
That's
we
pretty
need to try
common,
to beat it, shut
Okay.
it.
is
But
they,
They just read the wrong one.
Rewrite.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh, maybe we got.
never hurts to try, right?
No,
So try to see if Trent will do it. Or bring a quote, I mean. I don't know.
All right, executive session negotiations.
let's try 10 minutes if we can talk fast.
Shelley, second from Dylan, all those in favor, raise their hand, please.
Yes.
Mr. Flex, 7:30, right?
Oh, oh, gosh. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah,
I'm
7:40.
7:40.
7:40,
6:45.
7:40.
7:40.
I mean,
7:40,
whatever. I mean,
yes.
it's just me coming to
Well,
building.
we-
I
and
don't have
then-
to coordinate with my
Hey.
wife, so.
Hey, 145 is the NASA Tech Rise.
Yeah, that's when I want everyone, that's when I would like my kid released, and then
Yes.
it's from 2 to 4 is the
Yeah, I know, I mean, and obviously, wait,
softball,
tomorrow's
there's like,
Tuesday, tomorrow's Tuesday, okay, yes,
Yeah.
Tech Rise is Tuesday, okay.
You have a lot of juniors.
I'll have some, yeah. Like that 8 hour, chemistry.
Chemistry kids.
And that's smart from what?
2 to 4.
Because I'm gonna do enrollment for next year
I
for
just
college classes, but those, I know that those kids are gonna need their.
Yeah, they will, because they're gonna do the.
What?
Or the high achieving kids.
It's a while.
But I should be able to catch them.
I don't.
At some point, I'll pull them out of the class if I have to.
I mean, you could pull them,
I'm not pulling them from their now.
no, you could on Wednesday, like Wednesday, 8 hour, but I don't have anything for them. So they will do everything, and I don't take business, unless,
And I don't, yeah. It's.
is the expectation that high school goes to 8th grade promotion?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be there.
It would be nice, but if you don't need them, no, I mean, if you have to have them taken. I mean, but if they
It
can go
was more-
watch,
it was
they're
more
welcome to
fun.
be there for the, I think that'd be good for the kids to see, but if teachers need their high school kids taken.
No,
Surely, I can touch 9 kids. I'll figure that out.
I don't know if you saw my last email. You want those 7th graders, maybe the first 15 minutes of
I
legal
told-
hour tomorrow before I take them for promotion practice?
I said, so you can get it out of the way, I
You want me to
said
do it?
later.
Later, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause I
that's
don't
what
think I should
that's
take
what-
very long. I mean,
That's what I told Monty, just because,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, you can do your stuff, and then he's got to coordinate with the elementary.
Well, the 7th
So-
graders don't do class elections.
Oh, they don't?
No, so I can actually take them down and I can get them seated and show them how they're gonna walk up and down the stage.
Okay.
And then I'll bring the 8th graders in after they're done with their, because I'll do class lights since they'll be freshmen next year.
Yeah.
And then you can have them a little bit longer.
That's what I-
Okay, 'cause you just need 7th grade. boys.
Yeah, I just need 7th grade
I'll-
boys just
I'll-
to talk, because I think this, just the practice is gonna be, and then I'm gauging whether or not they want to do A's or not.
Well, I'll take the 7th graders at the beginning of legal hour to practice there, so they know where to sit and how to go up and down the stage for their awards program. And then I'll send them to you, send the boys to you. And then when when the 8th graders get done with their class elections, I'll go through the promotion practice. It actually work better if I did 7th graders different from 8th graders, because it's kind of different programs and one. So. I just did, but
One thing that I probably didn't invite you, the kids asked me a weird question for Eagle Hour, and it was just kind of them like doing their own little thing, not me, anything, like they asked if they could bring some like potluck type things for an end of the year thing for just their class during Eagle Hour, and I was like, well, if you guys want to organize it.
on that on Thursday.
No, on like tomorrow. I don't know, is that like a issue for you? I didn't even really think about it at the time. I was like,
Oh, I don't know what they're gonna do.
I know, it was just like, well, I guess if you want to have some fun thing for the. No, actually during Eagle Hour, I was like.
They don't know they're getting called down. and stuff.
Oh, shoot, so.
Yeah, because I
I'll
don't know
put
if I
it-
told them, I mean, because I only one that's on the
Yeah.
week of the glance, they're doing elections.
Well, I guess they could do elections at the same time, because I'm gonna run it.
They could beat it, yeah.
They
Oh,
could
yeah,
beat-
oh, true, because
Yeah.
you gotta do the 8th grade elections, because you got no,
I have freshmen.
you'll be doing freshman, okay, oh, for the sophomore, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, no, that's what
Okay,
I was
yeah,
just like,
Okay.
I,
Got the wrong
When-
class in my mind.
when the
Okay.
kids start bringing in lunch, like food, that's what it is. I didn't think about it in the moment.
I don't care.
If you
Yeah.
do, be sure to let Carol know, so she,
Yeah.
since she doesn't plan on 20 kids eating and,
They'll eat both, trust me.
okay.
These kids will.
They put away food.
I watch half a dozen kids. They'll go through lunch line, eat school lunch, and then they come back with any more pizzas. Or wings or whatever. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
they're eating all the time, but.
Yeah.
No, yeah, very
Okay.
good. All right, but yeah, we'll talk 7:30 or 7:40 in the morning.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
Yep.
Good night.
That's, I wondered how.
Hi, Colin.
See ya.
That's good. That's church.
Let's just talk. And I'm just thinking about this, with insurance and getting sun on either mine or Ashley's.
Yes.
Since we have two policies, are we able to, since it's gonna bump us immediately to a family, are we able to combine both of ours
Yes,
into
so
one?
is what will happen is the interns will go under one of you. either
Yeah.
Ashley or you. Doesn't
Am I
matter which
allowed,
one.
are we allowed to choose based on how much, because I have obviously met my
Yeah,
deductible.
you can pick, so
Okay,
we'll combine your to a family plan.
yes,
And then you will still get your benefit and Ashley will still get her benefit.
Yeah.
$734 that goes towards it now.
okay,
So it'll be a little bit cheaper than, say, with one person employee. So, so she needs to come in or we can send you the
she
information.
can come in,
Okay.
so,
She just needs to come in and let us know. We'll drop her insurance if it's going on, if you're the one who's getting it, him, we'll drop her insurance and then it'll all go under you. And then we'll just split it out half and half.
okay, I was just gonna ask
Yeah.
if that was possible.
If you want it split half and half, I'll let you know how much it will be. I can tell you how much it will be real fast.
Yeah, because we're, yeah, sending for, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be.
Excuse me.
All right, moving along to personnel, 20 minutes, I would make a motion. Seconded, all those in favor, raise your hands, please.
I was gonna get my pen, because I need to write down.
You want Tom in there? For personnel?
Probably do. I better,
You better go in. I bet you.
yes.
They come out at 9:12.
Extend for 5 more minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
How's the boys doing?
We should have that. No, because we have that elsewhere. Because we know how many's in third grade.
a motion for 10 more minutes. Second. Favor?
Only 10 more minutes.
Are you guys leaving me? Can't believe that. Have a good evening. You too. You don't have to go anywhere to pick up a order or anything this week, do you?
Think of where
Depot.
I guess it's gonna be delivered on Saturday. Want to throw it away.
I need 10 for it. 10 for 8 foot deck.
And that's really loud when it comes, when it turns on, you notice.
Yeah, 10 of them. Will you see, they'll throw them on there?
I can ask.
Okay.
I don't know what they, I don't know what, so all they can say is yes or no.
Mhm.
This farm would be not carry, I don't think I don't carry trees on it.
Yeah, but probably more than what I want to pay for. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's fried meat,
Maybe I should call out there and see.
and they might not carry, tree lumber's hard to keep if you don't
Yeah.
rotate that stock out pretty heavily.
Well, you see if you can get it, and if not,
Sure.
I'll,
Four by fours.
yeah. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't.
Sure. Trying to think of what else.
Probably ought to go 12 foot. They're a lot more expensive though. Do 12 foot.
That's about 12 footers.
Yes, because by the time I do 5 foot,
It's only 3 foot.
that's not going to be enough for the railing.
What about, I would say you have 10 footers.
I need 12 footers. Oh, yeah, 10 foot, not 12 foot. Oh, I have really 10 foot. Because that'll give me 5 to the top of my pool and then 5 on top of it. 10 footers.
Okay.
Please.
I will ask them.
What are you getting delivered for?
Oh, I've got a big window Susan moved in there. The big picture window in their house is bad.
You're replacing the window or just reframing it?
It's a replacement window, but it's an old wooden Anderson and just needs.
Yeah. About running out of town Friday, but I have to be here Friday, so. Has anybody ever talked to you about the new principal meetings?
Oh, it's through K-State.
No, these are through like KASB. I might look and see if there's some new principal meetings.
Yeah, that'd be great. Who puts them on? Steve, you know, like Dr. Britt Hart or
Yeah, I don't know who for sure. And they might not be until later in the summer and stuff too, but I'm like, they have new superintendent meetings. But I'll see about the new principal meetings.
yeah, you don't help I can get it.
You'll be fine. Signed up for my volunteer work for Old Settlers today.
Oh yeah, what do you help them with?
Registration.
Cool.
Only one library.
One stuck with it.
Right in the middle here.
Might as well. huh?
Stay down.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is a motion to approve the resignation. Well, let's separate this. Let's do A first.
I make a motion to approve the termination of Daniel.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried. Resignation for junior class sponsor in junior high football.
I make a motion to accept resignation for junior high class sponsor and junior high football.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And then we need a motion to modify the
Hiring.
agenda to add
Zoe Side.
Zoe Saib to the hiring.
All motion to add to the agenda to vote for Zoe Saib to become an elementary school teacher.
So the first thing will be adding that to that's what we're doing right now. So all those in favor of adding that to the agenda, raise your hand. Okay, and now we need a motion to,
I'll second.
we need a motion to approve those two things.
I would so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, and then classified contract renewals.
I make a motion to approve classified contract renewals.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Supplemental contracts.
All motion to, as presented, approve.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor? This expert there.
I don't think so. So between the public library and summer school, they're looking at some field trips specifically to Scott City and have asked for use of the bus driver to take our kids, our Nest City kids, on a field trip this summer in conjunction with the public library and our summer school. And just since we're letting technically a non-school entity do that, and then also what you might want, whether because it's for our kids, you would approve the cost of that trip as far as the fuel and the bus driver, or if you want that paid for, is what we're looking for in a motion.
In the past, like when we've done it, has the library paid for the
We have offered, but
but it hasn't?
yeah, it's
Okay,
been in
because it's a
conjunction with-
community product, it's a community.
And we've done it in like, the last time we did it, the summer school staff was part of the adult helpers that came and the summer school kids came as well. Which that's what I think the plan would be.
Yeah.
This year, schedule wise, as long as it works out.
And that would match what we've done in the past. The times that we've done that, the board has approved that travel and approved to pay for.
And I think the
The expense
library
of
would
the
pay
travel.
it. I mean, if that's what you guys' choice is, I think the library would.
I
be
make
happy
a
to pay.
motion to approve the transportation as we've done in the past.
Second.
Favor?
So is this insurance part of the negotiations here?
Okay, so next, moving along to approving negotiations.
I'll move to approve negotiations.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? All right, and the updated
Oh,
25.
no.
The updated 25-26 calendar, which is changing in regard to negotiations.
I make a motion to approve the updated 25-26 calendar.
I would second it. All those in favor? And then classified pay. I would make the motion to set the raises for that at the same percentage that
As presented.
were presented in executive session. Second, all those in favor? And anything else? Sure. Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Thank you all.
And then you probably gonna go to longer ones. Well, no, I think we'll be longer.
They start